While receiving New Year wishes in Yaoundé yesterday, members of the diplomatic corps have called on President Paul Biya to look for lasting solutions to the ongoing crisis in the troubled regions. In this newscast, we shall have a lot more of details with our reporter Armstrong Fomi Sander. And while appeasement strategies are ongoing to rectify the situation in the northwest and southwestern regions, persons are still being abducted. In this newscast, we shall have an extract of the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, Nijon Frundi. These and more will comprise of this edition of the newscast. Good evening and welcome on this other edition of the news on Equinoxe Television. And we told you right away on our top stories that we shall be taking you to the center region of the country, where back the diplomats and other dignitaries presented their New Year wishes to President of Cameroon, President Paul Biya yesterday. They agreed that the national dialogue had its place, but they say a lot more should be done by President Paul Biya to rectify the situation in the northwest and southwest regions. We have details with our reporter Armstrong Fomi Sander.
Permettez-moi de vous redire que la tenue du grand dialogue national.
Heads of diplomatic missions represented in Yaoundé, Cameroon, tell President Paul Biya that organizing the major national dialogue was a good and timely initiative, but they desire rapid progress in the quest to bring back peace in Cameroon.
Nous attendons de voir des progrès rapides.
Through the voice of the Dean, the diplomatic corps in Cameroon outlined lapses of the major national dialogue, notably the absence of some actors of the Anglophone crisis during the dialogue process.
Même si quelques acteurs de la crise n'étaient pas présents.
The Dean of the diplomatic corps in Yaoundé, Cameroon, asked the government of Cameroon to dialogue with key stakeholders for true peace to reign and key values like bilingualism and multiculturalism in Cameroon reserved.
Le corps diplomatique encourage.
The diplomatic corps is also convinced that a Cameroon which can serve as an example within the Council of Nations is a Cameroon constructed by Cameroonians from all sectors of life. Speaking during the ceremony to give New Year wishes to President Paul Biya, the diplomatic corps says an inclusive and a continuous dialogue should be the driving spirit in Cameroon in order to resolve the problems that cause people to believe that Cameroon was better divided.
Que le Cameroun pouvait être divisé.
In response, President Paul Biya made a recap of measures taken by the government to resolve the Anglophone crisis, notably moving from the major national dialogue to the bill recently adopted, voted and promulgated into law, in which is contained the special status for the northwest and southwest regions. Recognizing that the Anglophone crisis is a delicate problem in Cameroon, President Paul Biya thanked the international community for what he says is their contribution to measures taken by the governments of Cameroon to resolve the Anglophone crisis.
Leur accompagnement et leur soutien dans la gestion de ce délicat problème.
And in our subsequent editions of the news on Equinoxe Television, would recall we presented a report here on the recent abduction of some 5 members and supporters of the Social Democratic Front opposition party. Meantime, we caught up with the national chairman of the SDF. He reacts, Nijon Frundi.
I had reacted on this because it's not today that they started targeting the SDF. You know that the burning, kidnapping started on me, Frundi, where I was kidnapped on my way to bury Banazim. I was kidnapped in my compound. When I returned from hospital, 2 hours. After that, spending 5 days in hospital, 2 hours in the compound, they kidnapped me and took me to a camp. I was not tortured, but the humiliation and traumatization that took place is what I cannot say. So it's not only today that they started kidnapping the SDF people. They've kidnapped, they burnt their properties. And I kept crying and drawing the attention of the population that this thing is targeted on the SDF alone. They burned my compound in the village down to ashes, set fire on the compound in town, burned the mayor of Kumbo's compound, burned the parliamentary candidate for Kumbo's compound, who is to take over from Banazim, burned the compound of the mayor of Bafut, burned the compound of the parliamentarian of Bafut, and burned so many other SDF people's compounds in a wing and all the like. And I asked, it was the Anglophone issue targeted on the SDF that they think that they should do all this on the SDF. It is not fair for the youths of Anglophone to think that they can destroy the SDF. And that's why I keep repeating that these youths are YCPDM youths who want to fight the SDF and destroy the SDF. And we are seeing it, we are living it, and we are feeling it.
And while talking about the upcoming municipal and legislative elections across the 10 regions of Cameroon, we still caught up with the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front, John Frundi, who gives us a definite position of the opposition side party.
We are not saying that we maintain our participation. We are saying that we are working towards that. If by getting towards elections, Mr. Biya does not fulfill some of the conditionalities we are putting forward onto resolving the issues in the northwest and southwest, making the playground level, and to stop the killing of the people, then we'll take a position towards at that level. But to stand here and say we are not going in for elections because of that, we have to keep pushing. And that's what we've pushed for this number of years. And that's why Cameroon has the semblance of democracy that we have. That's why Cameroonians are able to talk the way we are talking today. And if we are not in a position to point out some of the ills, you saw our parliamentarians in parliament sang "Go kill with tire," sang and blocked the activities of parliament, of Senate. Even when we hadn't Anglophones in Senate, our Francophone brothers who are in Senate blocked the activities of Senate because of the problems in the northwest and southwest. So with all this, I think that as time goes on, the issues will unveil and reveal themselves, and we'll be able to take a final position.
I recall a couple of days ago that some lecturers whose name didn't feature on the recruitment list for them to teach in national state universities in Cameroon. They were on a strike action for some past days in the political capital of Cameroon, that is Yaoundé precisely. Yesterday, meeting was held, and this meeting was chaired by Minister of Higher Education, Jacques Famandongo. We caught up with a few lecturers who had this to say.
Yes, we were here to reivindicate the fact that in the first list of recruited PhD holders, there were many irregularities, and we wanted those irregularities to be solved. That's what we were here. You know, we are all here PhD honored, and we are Republicans. And when our minister says he's going to do it, that means the problem will be solved by putting together a rector and vice chancellor to solve the problem. We trust on him, and it will be solved. No, for the moment, we have our mates. We are coming from Maroa, from Gaoundere, from Bamenda. We cannot just quit like that. We have to have some time to make ourselves out.
We'll recall that administrative amendments are ongoing to rectify the situation of these lecturers across the National Triangle. We caught up with Jacques Famandongo, Minister of Higher Education in Cameroon.
First of all, I want to thank to the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, who has prescribed this special recruitment. We also congratulate the head of government, Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Ngute, who is the coordinator of this very important academic operation. And so we congratulate the Secretary General of the Service of Prime Minister, Professor Séraphin Magloire Fouda, who is the supervisor, the general supervisor of this very important and strategic and pertinent operation. We are delighted by this happy end, because now it is the end of the strike. And I congratulate these the rectors, the vice chancellors, the deans, the head of departments, who have worked with commitment and excellence. We congratulate and encourage these students who are holding of doctorate, PhD or another diploma.
Minister Jacques Famdongo there speaking with us. Something else. Economic stakeholders have attributed what is qualified as the limping industrialization drive for Cameroon to lack of political will, a poor interpretation of legislations by civil servants, and a plethora of challenges plaguing the industrial sector of the country. The Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Crafts is stepping up Cameroon's industrialization efforts in a bid to enhance its participation and the benefit from Africa's free trade zone. We have details with you, Babila Jonathan.
All it takes to get into the mainstream of industrialization, but remains in industrial stagnation.
Les industries au Cameroun, je vous ai tantôt que oui, il y en a, mais qui ont des problèmes.
The president of the Industry Department of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft says the few industries existing in Cameroon are plagued by a plethora of problems. Saidu Njida highlights problems of difficult access to raw materials, high and abusive taxes, and poor interpretation of legislations governing the industrial sector by civil servants.
Le Kenya qui est à côté exporte les fleurs.
With the example of Kenya that exports flowers, he explains that Cameroon has the potential to grow flowers and export across the world. But despite the fact that, according to him, Cameroon has all it takes, lack of political will and proper organization are major obstacles.
Au Cameroun, nous n'avons pas de banques qui accompagnent les hommes d'affaires.
Another stumbling block to the country's industrialization drive is the absence of high-standard investment banks to give a financial push to business persons. Stakeholders examined these issues and other challenges faced by the Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft at the institution's plenary assembly 4th ordinary session in Douala Friday.
It is the last session of the mandate 2016-2019, and the mandate was not so easy because of the crisis, the economic crisis in our country. And you know, with that situation, I can tell you that without security there is not business. And the problem beyond of all this, you know, the Chamber of Commerce have a problem of cash flow.
The Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft is asking for more resources for the fulfillment of its assignments in view of speeding up efforts to move Cameroon into the rank of industrialized nations.
And we're saying this further concerning the financial challenges faced by the Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and the Craft. Its President Christophe Equinoxe says the institution is unable to fulfill its mission following a significant drop in a budget. Here is an extract of Christophe Equinoxe.
I think that the big solution is to get our perennial resources. We need our sustainable resources to go ahead with our kingly mission. We have many missions to do. Let me tell you something very important. I will say once upon a time, 25 years ago, the budget of this institution was like a 50 billion of francs CFA. We are speaking today about 2 or 3 billion. Can you think that we can make our mission with all that? It's impossible. Our mission become very huge and very big. It's more impossible to do that mission. That is what we need. We need a grant, we need a consider subsidies, but it's not allowed. We need to get our resource to make sure that we are going to accomplish our kingly mission very soon. 4 billion, just 4 billion. That's what I tell you, 4 billion is in and out. We will just pay the salary and pay some irreducible shares. That's what we're going to do. We will not make anything more.
And we talk something else on this newscast. We move over to the Mungo division of the Littoral region of the country, where back there, some sighted schools have received didactic materials, among other necessary tools, to enable a fruitful school year, the academic year 2019-2020. In that part of the country, the donation was made by the Ministry of Secondary Education in a bid to assist internally displaced children in the Mungo division. We have details with you, Immaculate Faway.
The Mungo division in the Littoral region of Cameroon
is one of those areas hosting a great number of internally displaced persons coming from the northwest and southwest regions. Many of the internally displaced are living in deplorable conditions, as some of them are unable to afford for their basic needs. Limited access to education for children due to frequent attacks on schools by the armed groups has led to a jam to capacity in many schools in the area. Government Bilingual High School, Susa, for example, is hosting 600 displaced kids. Government Bilingual High School, Jombe, 200, and finally Government Bilingual High School, Lum Maningwasa, with a total of 350 IDPs. In a bid to alleviate their sufferings, the Ministry of Secondary Education offered didactic materials to some schools in the Mungo division.
And some of them never had even a pen, let alone talk about an exercise book to copy the notes. Honestly, today, those students are singing. For yesterday they were orphans, but today they have a mother.
Came to Susa because there was no school going on there, so we decided to come to school here. Because here we don't even have money to pay school fees nor books. But we are very grateful for the minister that sent us this book, and we are very happy. Once they had that please, she should keep on doing it with us. And we are very happy that she cares for us. Thank you very much.
Indeed, a great pleasure that about 120 students have each received at least a textbook, an exercise book, a pen, a pencil from the minister's gift to the internally displaced students.
Many other IDPs are still in need of humanitarian assistance and are calling on administrative authorities to do something to improve their situation. And we stay in a photo talking about youths and your zeal to ensure peace in the country. This time around, we move over to the southwest region of Cameroon, where back there in Mabeta village in the Limbetree subdivision, youths there have expressed your zeal to ensure that peace gains ground in that part of the country. They were expressing this zeal while the divisional officer came visiting. We have details with you, Smart Chika and Gabriel.
Without accessible roads linking the rest of Limbetree community to Mabeta village, it was through the sea that the divisional officer for Limbetree landed in Mabeta, a locality under her jurisdiction. The urgent descent to the field came after the population almost lynched two alleged separatist fighters who had kidnapped a Ghanaian national residing in their village and demanded for ransom. It was an occasion for the local authorities to call on the inhabitants of Mabeta to form vigilante groups.
I work with chiefs then.
I will plead with you people to work with your chiefs and build a vigilante group that will be officially installed when the divisional officer returns here for her official visit.
So I want to organize and overfind vigilante group. Now I no be police.
The youth of Mabeta are also set to work for peace to return to their village.
The people of Mabeta only sleep, only feel free, a bit disturbed.
We were very disturbed seeing our mothers and fathers kidnapped, taken into the bush and beaten. It's not a good act. If we all youth come together to fight against the unknown, our village will once again enjoy peace.
Sure say they were picking them, as no of them, they will go school. I will say all we will be as one. Now there will we. Yeah.
The divisional officer who is visiting Mabeta unofficially promised the inhabitants of the village about their security if they work with the authorities.
To encourage this act of bravery and to accompany them to continue in this same direction, giving them the reassurance that the institution is there.
Mabeta is known for her production of over 70% of crayfish we consume in Cameroon, but unfortunately has been facing difficult times due to the ongoing crisis.
And we move over to the northwest region of the country, where back there, some 350 forces of law and order have officially taken service, this to ensure that the legislative and municipal elections move on hitch-free in the northwest region of the country. We have details with our correspondent, Stellambo.
There are 350 numbers heading to Bamenda. They have as mission to reinforce security before, during and after the February 2022 elections in every nook and cranny of the Northwest region. The deployment is one of the measures the head of state Paul Biya said will be put in place to ensure a smooth running of these elections in the conflict-hit Northwest and Southwest regions. The arrival is at a time when arson on private property and kidnapping of aspiring councillors and parliamentarians have multiplied ahead of the February 9 polls. They are expected to reverse this trend.
Bienvenue à Bamenda. En vous souhaitant la bienvenue, je vous demande d'être discipliné, d'agir avec honneur et fidélité au service de la République et au service des populations de la région du Nord-Ouest qui vous attendent chaleureusement parce que vous êtes des forces de pacification. Vous êtes venus ici pacifier et rétablir le lien de confiance entre les forces de défense et les populations. Mon colonel, commandant de la Légion de gendarmerie du Nord-Ouest, je vous demande de les prendre en main et de les mettre à la disposition des autorités administratives de la région du Nord-Ouest pour emploi.
In the days ahead, these soldiers will be deployed to other parts of the region. While on the field, they are expected to maintain a cordial relationship with the inhabitants who have resigned to fade as they continue to face the hot side of both the soldiers and the non-state armed groups.
And that does it for the first part of the news. Up next is Talking Point. Welcome back, and right here with us on Talking Point, we have as guest a political observer and fervent servant of the omnipresent and potent. Permit me call you pace setter, Nehemiah Muntika. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much, Amin. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here this evening.
And we're glad to receive you today. You're here to react on a chair or position of a political observer. Certainly, you caught up yesterday with President Paul Biya's reception of New Year wishes by the members of the diplomatic corps and other dignitaries in Yaoundé. Most of them are calling on the president to ensure that long-lasting solution ends the Anglophone crisis. What's your immediate reaction?
Absolutely. I watched the New Year wishes at the presidency of the Republic, and I got keen to what the diplomats said. They hailed the president, and on the other hand, they charged him to implement the decisions from that emanated from the national dialogue. And it's an old song already that even a little child is already used to the tune, and many people would like to dance a new tune this time around. When you keep promising people something and you don't give them, it makes it a little bit boring. So I think that if the call has come this time around at the beginning of the year, we hope that the decision from the national dialogue should be implemented immediately so that peace can return in these two regions that have been going through thin and tough since 3 years ago.
And we've had situations where we've had administrative representatives in the person, for instance, of Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, who keeps reminding the international community that the situation is under control. What's your take on this?
Well, it's sad because every day the situation is coming to normalcy, yet we see deploying military on a daily basis to combat like what happened a few days ago in Bamenda. I think that the situation is not yet completely over, or we should be singing, celebrating at this time. It's good that we should be honest a little bit and speak the truth, so that if someone wants to help us, he should know actually that this is someone who is in need. If we come on air and would say the problem is already under control, and the next few minutes you see on the same screen military being deployed, it tells somebody that it looks like there is something fishy that is not being said. So I think that we should be humble enough. If the situation is under control, it should be. Many people are going back to their villages, yet no one is actually going back, because when you look at the term today, IDP, some people, it looks like a term that is marginalized, or some people don't really want to be called IDPs, but technically you see that even top government officials cannot even go back to their own villages or to their own regions. So I think that we should really speak the truth and tell the people what is happening on the ground, so that we can really understand. Those that are praying can understand how they can fashion their prayers in asking God what is actually the need on the ground. If you give me a wrong information, it may not help me to better pray, nor to help you if actually I could at one point in life.
And what's actually the situation on the ground? What are those stones which are still to be turned?
I think that there should be peace, because fighting and burnings, killings are still, we watch them on social media, and we hear what is happening in our villages. People call and they tell us how someone is killed or not. So I don't actually have any clear information about what is happening on the field, but from looks of things,
the feedback
I just watched the news, and you see battalions have been sent to the northwest. The governor just addressed, and so that speaks already on its own that things have not yet been stable in those regions. And so it is good that they should give us the right information, what is actually happening, so that we can better pray. I know that the country may not really give you every detail of what you should know about the situation in the country, probably for the administrative reasons, but I think that there are some basics that you shouldn't even come up to say. For instance, like saying that everything is becoming normal in the regions. If they are not, then we should better say it clearly, so that people can really understand and know how they can go about praying or helping the situation, because it is a collective effort that we need from Cameroonians at this time in order to see what we can do. It is not just administrative or government. Government should be able to humble itself and work with the people. Take for instance, the government is helping the people, giving them gifts at this time, but my fear is that if you don't consult someone to know his problem, you will not be able to give the right treatment. There are people down there, the grassroots. The church is there, always there to assist the government, but when the government is just coming, for instance, like the last outing here in Douala, it was a fiasco, because you discover that those who are even carrying back the gifts sometimes are not even the IDPs.
Those in need.
They are not those that are really affected with the problem.
And talking about internally displaced persons in the Littoral region, for instance, you've been dealing with a huge number of them without any brandishing. What's your situation? What's keeping them back in the Littoral? Why aren't they going back to their respective regions?
That is where I can actually tell you that that is where we get our information, because we are directly dealing with the people. The first outing that we have in Faith Baptist Church Airport in Douala, we ministered to 167. The second was 184, and the last one we had in December 21st, we were able to touch about 600 of them.
Are some of them going back to their respective
They are not going back. They are stable here in Douala, and they can't go back. Nobody is actually telling you that I would like to go back now, because things are not yet certain or clear. No one knows what can happen in the next few minutes as of now. So that is the testimony they tell us, because we work with them one-on-one. We share with them. We really get to know what actually is their problem, and the church is always there to assist in one way or the other, paying their fees and assisting them with foodstuff and other things.
Now, given or taking into consideration that the government is somewhat still receptive to proposals, you as a political observer, as a pace setter, what do you chip in?
I think that I think that the government at the beginning of the crisis solicited the position of the church, And if there are some measures that they are putting in place in order to rescue the situation, the church should equally be involved, because I tell you, the church is much more closer to the people than the government somehow, because we deal with the people, we stay with them, we fellowship with them, we talk to them fearing God, and we talk to them holistically, giving them what they need. And I think that if I want to suggest to the government, I will want to plead that the government should decentralize the distribution of the goods that they have, because when you come to Douala and you assemble people from Susa everywhere, only at the airport vicinity around the church, we were able to have 600 people. And if you were to talk about the regions, and you understand what happened here last time, so there should be that intentional distribution that should give to the right person, those that are really in need. It shouldn't be something like people know man no man here. Last time I really recommended a family from the airport to go to Bunaberi, and they went there, they stayed there the whole day, they came back without receiving something, and the testimony was really horrible. I can't really tell you what happened here.
Now, given that it's not only limited at gifts, because when you speak to the people, you realize that it's not all about the reception of gifts. They have more pertinent problems. They want to go back to their regions.
It's true.
So what are some of those key points you give out to listeners out there, or to the government?
You can give fish to someone every day, but teaching someone how to catch fish is very, very important. Now, the gifts that you give, some people don't actually need mattresses. What if someone has mattress and lap chair, and you carry mattress and give, you haven't met the need. And those gifts that are given to them, some of them don't even reach back their homes. They are harassed on the way from Bonaberi to Yassa. You can imagine what can happen with the gift. And so I think that the best gift that Cameroonians want now at this time is peace to return in our country. Whatever it takes, whoever is involved, whatever, there should be that humility. It doesn't matter, all of us are Cameroonians, and it doesn't matter who you are. You should be able to humble yourself and ensure that peace reign in our different localities. There is no way you can receive everything here in Douala. If you cannot go back home, then you won't enjoy those things. So I think that the best gift that Cameroonian wants is peace, and whatever it takes for peace to reign, let it be. Christians should pray, and they are praying, and those that are at the forefront, let them ensure that peace is back in this country.
Thank you so much. And peace is the key word. Peace is primordial. Thank you so much, peace setter and Nehemiah Monteka. You permit me once again to call you this way. Some other time we'll certainly receive you on Talking Point on Equinoxe Television.
Thank you, Emin. The pleasure is mine, and thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless Cameroon.
And that does it for this other edition of the news on Equinoxe Television. We leave you in the company of our subsequent programs. Meantime, have a lovely weekend. Meet you again on Monday.